Welcome to the LPAC Grades 3 through 12 group training video. This video includes important information regarding group testing for students in grades 3 through 12 on the computer-based LPAC. There are 3 domain tests for students in these grades: listening, reading, and writing. Site LPAC coordinators and test examiners should work together to determine the most appropriate testing environment for students based on the number of devices available, the number of students in each grade span, and the estimated time needed to complete each test. Use your knowledge of individual students to help determine the size of your groups. Before testing, it is required that you reference individual education programs, IEPs, or Section 504 plans to specify universal tools, designated supports, accommodations, or any combination of these that necessitate testing some students in a separate setting. Critical information for test administration, how to prepare, testing resources, and what you're allowed to say are located within the Directions for Administration manuals, which can be found in the Test Operations Management System, or TOMS. Students in grades 3 through 12 navigate independently through the entire listening, reading, and writing domains, so they must possess digital literacy skills such as scrolling and the use of a mouse or touchpad. If you're testing newcomers or students whose computer skills you're unsure of, there is a new optional tool called the Technology Readiness Checker for Students, or TRACS, which is found on the LPAC website. Let's watch Emma. As you can see, Emma was successful using some of the technology tools, navigating with the mouse, selecting pictures, and dragging and dropping. But when it came time to keyboard text, Emma didn't know how to put a space between her words. Her inability to do so might affect her scores in the writing domain. Students whose skills with technology are not adequate will need the support of an adult. There are 2 possible options that are part of the computer-based LPAC: a test navigation assistant or a designated interface assistant. The test navigation assistant is a person who is specially trained to assist students during testing. This universal tool is provided to help the student correctly navigate through the test so that the technology is not a barrier to performance. The assistant may help, for example, with scrolling, expanding and collapsing the screen and passages, and assisting with button navigation. The test navigation assistant could have shown Emma how to use the spacebar between her words. If you know a student will need technical assistance in advance of testing, a designated support called a designated interface assistant can be provided to perform more direct support, for example, by inputting a student's written response. Prior to testing, it is the responsibility of local educational agencies, or LEAs, to properly prepare students for taking the computer-based LPAC. It is highly recommended that all students be provided the opportunity to use the practice tests and training tests prior to actually administering the test. These resources allow the students the opportunity to become familiar with the item task types, the universal tools, buttons, and any allowable designated supports and accommodations. LPAC practice tests and training tests can be found at the LPAC website. Now let's watch a teacher working with a group of 6th through 8th grade students in the listening domain. She has chosen to read the directions from an electronic version of the Listening, Reading, and Writing Directions for Administration, or DFA.
Now we are ready to sign in. Once you have signed in,
You will have to wait for me to approve the test before you start.
Enter your first name, not your nickname, followed by your SSID number, which is on your logon ticket. Then enter the test session identification, or ID, that is required to start the test, which I've written on the board. After that, select Sign In. Raise your hand if you need help typing this information on your keyboard. I'll be checking that you have correctly entered the test session ID and other information. After you sign in, you should see a screen with your first name and other information about you. If all the information on your screen is correct, select Yes to continue. If any of the information is incorrect, please raise your hand and show me what is incorrect. Now select the listening test. After you do this, you will need to wait for me to approve your test. Please select Start LPAC Listening. I just selected Approve All Students. I do not have to individually approve each student. Next, you should see a screen that prompts you to check that the sound and video on your computer are working. Put on your headsets and select the triangle play button. If you can hear the music and see the moving musical notes, select the green I could play the video and sound button. Then select Continue and wait for more instructions. If you could not hear, raise your hand. Please check the sound on your computer now. Okay, take your headphones off. At this time, please select Begin Test Now at the bottom of the page. This is the listening section of the LPAC test. In this part of the test, you will listen carefully to some recordings. Then you will answer some questions. You will need to answer all questions that go with each recording before you are able to go on to the next recording. If you are unsure of an answer, provide the answer you think is best. If you would like to review your answer at a later time, mark the question for review before going on to the next question. You may go back and change the response at any time during this test session. In the top left corner of your screen, beside the word Questions, you can select a drop-down menu that will allow you to jump to the questions you have marked for review. At this time, please put on your headsets. Listen to the directions and begin the test. If you have any questions about the technology or the test delivery system, please raise your hand for assistance. This test session is now over. Thank you for your attention and hard work.
Now let's look at the writing test for the same group of students.
This is the writing section of the LPAC test. In this part of the test, you will hear some questions and answer them by typing responses in English. Please let me know if you need help typing your answers. If you would like to review You've written your notes here, you have to actually type it in here, okay? So you can use these notes, but you need to type everything in here. That'll be the only part that is stored. Yes.
I don't get this part.
Okay, so did you already select this button and listen to the audio? This test session is now over. Thank you for your hard work and attention. I am going to collect all scratch paper that was used. Please hold your scratch paper up if you've written anything on it.
After testing is complete, be sure to shred used scratch paper and student logon information. Now we're going to move on to the reading domain. Let's watch a group of younger students at grades 3 through 5.
In this part of the test, you will read some texts. Then you will answer some questions about them. You need to answer all the questions that go with a text before going on to the next text. If you are unsure of an answer, provide the answer you think is best. If you would like to review your answer at a later time, click to mark the question for review before going on to the next question. You may go back and change the answer at any time during this test session. Bottom of the page. Please put your headphones back on and listen to the directions and begin the test. If you have any questions about the technology, please raise your hand for assistance. Okay, so go ahead and press pause. Great. And we will resume the test when you get back from the restroom. Okay, so go ahead and use the restroom. So you noticed that we had a student that needed to use the restroom during the test, so we went ahead and had her pause the test, and then when she returns from the restroom, we would unpause the test so that she could continue taking the test. You marked for review. Did not submit your test until you are completely finished answering questions. If you need additional time, let me know. If you need help to submit your test, please raise your hand. Okay, so go ahead and click submit test. And yeah. And then click submit test. No, not yet. When administering the LPAC to younger students, it's recommended to have a proctor in the room and addition to the test examiner so that you can help with logging students on in the beginning of the exam, but also with logging students out and submitting the test at the end of the exam. What do you need, sweetie? Okay. You're gonna click next. You'll notice that during testing administration, we allowed each student to use a mouse during the test. That's because that's what they're most comfortable using during the classroom, and that's what we've practiced using. But you don't have to use a mouse or mice during administration. If students are more comfortable using the trackpad, that works just as well.
When students are working independently, it's important to circulate among the students to monitor progress and assist individuals. It's important to caution students to submit a test only when all questions have been completed. Thanks for watching.